Remember, left side of the line, you're turning the left side of their line. Right side of the line, you're turning the right. Center, you're turning center. Take aim! Center mass, steady! Fire!
There are many dedicated units, companies, regiments, and brigades in the ongoing War of Rights. The one we'll be focusing on today prides itself on its fighting spirit, coordinated charges, and rigorous training program. Under the bombastic leadership of Major Jerry, the historian who loves nothing more than getting some rebel blood on his sword and plays the game out of his love for history and all the funny moments that come with it. He is assisted in his duties by Sergeant Major Bones, the totalitarian ruler of the drill camp, who trains his troops with an iron fist and a sharpened bayonet. Based on the real-life unit of the same name, the 36th New York was led by Colonel Charles H. Ines, a volunteer firefighter and watchman of New York City, and Colonel William H. Brown, the attorney and politician, both veterans of the Mexican-American War. This unit saw first combat at the Battle of Seven Pines, and was the first to plant their regimental colors at Marye's Heights during the Battle of Chancellorsville. In-game, the 36th New York carries on the legacy of their namesake, with a fierce fighting spirit, brutal melee capabilities, and an attitude of never give up and never surrender. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce you to the 36th New York Infantry Regiment.
'36 New York. Attention. Fix bayonets. Load arms.
Load on. Checks and ready.
Checks and ready.
Check.
Check.
Shoot. Line ready.
At the ready.
At the ready.
At the ready.
Company. Take aim.
Take aim.
Aim.
Steady.
Steady.
Fire!
Line these Yankees up, boys! Line them up!
Boys at the Independent, at that road down there. Independent, boys. Oh. Into the break reload, into the devil aid. Kill those Yankee dogs. We're pinning. There's too many enemies, there's too many revs.
Light those Yankees up! They're running for their mothers! Yeah! Oh, look at them! Yankees behind, boys! Kill these rebels! 36 New York! No surrender!
No surrender. No surrender.
36 New York, Major Jerry.
36 New York, Sergeant Major Bones.
What do you find is something that people often get wrong about War of Rights?
It's not as organized as you think it'd be. It's organized chaos that we somehow managed to get a grip on and make it work. If people think that organized regimental gameplay is organized, you are strongly mistaken. It's not as easy as it looks.
I think one of the most common misconceptions outside looking in, you see regiments come and go. You see some players fade out, the count goes up, the count goes down. People misconcept that the game is dead. Another part of that, I think, is because the updates aren't always glamorous. They make small balance changes and they make small gameplay changes every now and then that when you get into the regimental environment, it completely changes the game. It completely changes how the maps are played, who's got the higher chance of winning. And it's because there's so many people in the War of Rights community that know the game so well that when there is a small change, it does breathe some life into the game. So the game's not dead.
Do you think the game would still be as active as it is without the regiments?
Oh yeah, absolutely not. I
Absolutely.
mean, open up the server browser. Every server in there, besides the pub servers, is owned by a regiment. They keep the ball rolling, so when new people try the game, some of them stick with it. You got people doing documentaries. You got YouTubers that record videos like Eagle. The game would be dead without the regiments.
Regimental gameplay is the backbone of this community. Without it, it probably wouldn't run as smoothly as it hopefully does. It wouldn't have the level of engagement or people playing without it.
Seeing as the regiments are such a massive part of the game that breathe new life into it, what separates public play from regimental play?
The camaraderie. The camaraderie is definitely a huge separation. When you move into regimental, you realize it's not just about going into a battle and just playing. It's about knowing people and meeting new people. You join a regiment and all of a sudden you're like surrounded by these new people who all bring different talents to the table. You really get a better understanding of how this community is built.
I think the biggest difference is knowing your impact. When you're in pub, there's no hit marker. There's no kill death count or ratio or whatnot. Unless you're face to face with the guy and you're the only two people there, it's the only way you really know if you killed someone. And so a lot of these new players, the mission's unclear, the wins and losses, why they transpire the way they did are unclear. If you're shooting or if your movements are having any effect, it's unclear. But when you go to regimental play and you start getting into these really experienced players' lines, you can tell the impact of every rifle and every bayonet. That's the major difference in my opinion. The game's a little chaotic, but in regimental, every person really gets to know and see what their impact is on the battlefield.
What aspects and values give War of Rights its appeal?
That is a good question. The historical value would definitely brings a lot of people in. The game is written deep in its realistic sense. Each regiment is usually based off a real life regiment. Each uniform is detailed, each rifle is detailed, each map is detailed. The game is built on details. That's a big drive for people to buy and play the game, because if you enjoy realism and details and historical values, then you're going to love this game.
I think the overall appeal of War of Rights, you find games where it takes all kinds of people. But War of Rights, it's really one of those genre games. And like what Jerry was saying with the historical accuracies and our relatively active developers, they're not letting the game die, and it's a specific environment that brings appeal to those historic buffs. So I think that it keeps itself in such a specific genre. I think that's part of the appeal.
What's one of your favorite moments in your time playing War of Rights?
I think my favorite moment was when the entire CSA team on Maryland Heights rushed in, charging, bayonets down, all screaming, all in unison, mine, mine, mine. And it got to the point where everyone was saying mine, that the Union Army were so confused that they also started shouting mine, even though they were being charged at the exact same time. And so many people shouting at once that it just made for such an atmosphere of chaos and funny moments.
They're really running around. They're trying to go for the flags. So Union lose their flags. CSA about to hit final push. Where are the CSA flags? They're still up and alive, moving down the hill.
Mine's a personal one. Long time ago, before the 36, I'd gotten a sort of moniker of being a ghost, and I'd always team kill Jerry and Muster. And there's a clip where we're mustering, and Jerry decides he's going to spawn with the artillery and practice some artillery shots on his own team. And he's in an open field, and I just go running across the field to get him. And he never sees me coming until the last second because he fired a shot, and I ran through the artillery smoke. And from his point of view, I just appeared out of nowhere, and I killed him.
Jerry, why don't you tell us about your point of view on that?
You see, I knew they were all there, and I was like, oh, I'm going to load up a shell and send it their direction, because they won't have the dedication to run those 150 yards to come and get me. So I load up a shell, and as I fire the shell, over to my right, just in my peripheral vision, I see Bones running through the smoke like a madman, and he proceeded to put a round directly through my forehead. Nothing would have stopped him in that moment, even if I had tried.
It was fun times.
We killed. Oh shit!
Good job, Jerry. I'm really proud of you.
So what improvements would you like to see to the game?
Oh, that's a tough question.
This one I've been thinking about for a while. A basic tutorial would help players understand the game a hell of a lot more.
I disagree with that.
How so?
Well, every regiment has their own way of running things. I mean, you could maybe do a tutorial for basic controls, but for game mechanics being utilized on the field, I feel like that might cause some friction.
Well, I was thinking even like a basic tutorial, like a Call of Duty tutorial where they teach you the absolute basics of getting
Yeah.
that bayonet on, or getting that load in, or following those orders, or pressing T and following that star. Even the most basic things like that, just to help new players understand the game before they're thrown into the chaos of battle.
That's a really tough question, and not one I've thought about because I don't rely on hopes and dreams. But, well, just not stagnating. It's not a specific improvement, but I'd like to see more maps. It's tough because it's not really an initial improvement. The big stuff that's going to be an improvement is stuff that's going to cause the game to be broken for a while, you know? Oh, I'll tell you what it is, actually. No, I changed my answer. A Union drill camp with a closer target range. I'm changing my answer. Just have spawns. Have separate spawns on the drill camps. So you can spawn at the range, or you can spawn in artillery, or you can spawn by the flags. Just more spawn options in drill camp. Yeah, well, and CSA's got their targets right next to their drill camp.
Yeah,
But
it's
for
pretty
us,
great.
we want to usually rep Union because we are Union. Sometimes we'll use a CSA drill camp just because it's easier. I don't necessarily want them to change the map. Just give us more spawn options. We want to talk about immediate improvement. That'd be great.
What advice would you give to someone who's thinking of trying out War of Rights?
Follow the crowd. The best way to do it is just follow where everyone else is going. That's where all the chaos is going to happen. That's where all the battles are going to be happening. And that's where all the stupid crap's going to be happening. Follow the crowd. It's the best method. It's the best method.
I mean, you can't really go wrong with just listening to the people that sound like they know what they're talking about. I mean, there's people that are going to sound like they know what they're talking about, and it's going to be rough, but there's no real way to sort it when you're in pubs. But don't be afraid to listen, try and experience, try and learn, and then you can sort through the nonsense later. Don't run off on your own. It kind of falls under follow the blob. Just try to participate in some sort of organized fashion, which is difficult to do when you're not in a regiment. I guess I would say play the game properly, despite what's going on around you, and just try to learn.
If someone plays War of Rights and they get involved in the community, what's the best part of that community?
The competitiveness. The best way to describe War Rights community as a whole, imagine it like college football. Everyone's trying to be better than the other, and that level of competitiveness makes for really fun times because people really want to win, and they will do some of the stupidest stuff to try and achieve it. I think the competitiveness is a huge part of that.
I would say the willingness to work together. A lot of people just form their own regiments, and that's a great start. But if it wasn't for organized events where a lot of regiments come together to play in these events, then just having regiments wouldn't do nearly as much. So, yeah, I would just say the willingness for so many regiments to communicate and organize and work together to come up with something for us to do, you know?
How does somebody from the Republic of Ireland get involved in a military simulation game based around American history and American events?
Well, my family comes from an American background, and I've always had a good passion for American history. It's something I learned, and it's something I enjoy. And this game just fills all the criteria for something I enjoy. It has good community, it's realistic, and it has its funny moments. It fills all the criteria that I enjoy, and so that's why I love to play it. I stumbled upon this game back in the Kickstarter by complete accident. I think I watched a video about it, and I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. I think I'll buy it. I bought it in the Kickstarter a couple of years ago, and then I kind of forgot about it. I went off playing other Milsim games, and then I came back, and then the first game I ever played, I was thrown into absolute chaos. It was absolutely brutal. I remember my first ever game. It was Progress Mill, and it was us rushing across the river, and it was corpses littered everywhere. People were falling. I remember my officer going, "Don't worry, boys, we're gonna live to see the next one," and then immediately his head gets blown off by a Minier ball, and that just made me love this game.
Why'd you pronounce it like that?
Because it's the proper pronunciation.
It's a mini ball.
European laddie-daddy-doody-da.
Funnily enough, I started playing War of Rights while I was in Europe. I was in the military. I spent 5 years stationed in Italy, and that's why even now that I'm back in the States, I still participate in an EU regiment.
As an officer, what difficulties arise when people don't want to be team players or cooperate?
Thankfully for me, I've never really had an issue like that, because this game isn't built upon, oh yeah, let's be realistic to the actual events. It's anything could happen at any time, and it's all about listening. If someone doesn't want to listen, you don't have to go against them. It's always about finding middle ground. As an officer, you always have to find middle ground for, oh, what's going to happen next? What are we going to do? What's the best course of action? And usually people are quite cooperative. If you can find middle ground with your fellow allies and your fellow officers, then it's always smooth sailing.
On the other side of the aisle, Bones, what issues arise as an enlisted player?
Well, I guess I'd have to answer this from my perspective and then from the perspective of what I assume most enlisted struggle with. But from my perspective, the only struggle that really arises is just dissatisfaction. If I dedicate myself to a company or a line and an officer is leading, we could be showing our backs to the enemies. If that's the order, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be happy about it. I might be dissatisfied with how the officer leads or how he plays. And if optional, I'll voice those opinions afterward. A lot of regiments, I assume, do debriefs after most events. But as a brand new enlisted player, I think it's twice as bad because you're dissatisfied with the officer and you may even split off by yourself because you're like, well, this is stupid. I'm not going to stand here in the open. I'm going to stand behind this tree. That's where you lose that impact on knowing what's going on, what's happening. The officer is just one guy. So it's hive mentality of the line compared to the decisions and the thought processes of one person. There can be conflict there. And again, that breeds that dissatisfaction feeling of, well, me as an individual in the line, I think we should have done this. But because of the nature of how we play the games, it just doesn't work that way. I mean, you can voice your opinion in game, you can voice your opinions afterwards, but a lot of enlisted assume if they have any issues like this with bad officers or something, they'll find greener pastures somewhere else. Sticking around long enough to make changes to officers that are already set in a regiment is difficult.
So would you say that that's the exception or the rule within the regimental community?
Well, if you're in the right regiment, you don't see it a whole lot. I've been in 2 regiments, and I got to tell you, it's both sides of the coin. It really just depends on what regiment you're in and what officers are leading. I'd say it's 50-50, maybe more 60-40, 60 being good officers, 40 being bad. You see it in pubs, you see it in multiple regiments. There's just good officers, there's bad officers. And as an enlisted player, you can survive in both environments, but man, it's just preference.
From the outside looking in, what are the perspectives that the community or other regiments have about the 36th New York?
The 36 has a very extensive history, and it has essentially 2 main perspectives. The first one is it's built on indiscipline, it's built on people who just care to fight, but it's also built on discipline. The people who want to fight, they fight with discipline. I think from the outside, that's what you'd probably see looking in.
Yeah, the disciplined and disciplined. I mean, we can form the straightest shoulder-to-shoulder line and operate properly because we train our guys to know what they're doing. But at the same time, we're probably saying some wild shit and we're probably joshing about until the real action starts. And I like to imagine that people look at us as fun and reliable, maybe sometimes a nuisance. Depends on who we're playing with and how good the game's going.
Mr. Lama, from crimes committed against humanity, you are being sentenced to death. Company, take aim. Do you have any final words?
Down with the eagle.
Fire! The more chaotic the battle, the better we get.
If someone's thinking about joining the 36th New York, what should they expect?
Attend drill.
God damn it, you beat me to it.
Every single time we have a new recruit, we like to ask questions, just like, how new are you and stuff like that. Mr. Bones here will swoop in and just put his input of saying, attend drill.
I run the drills for the 36 New York. We do it every Sunday. And yeah, if anybody wanted to join the 36, be ready to attend drill because that's what sets us apart. A lot of regiments drill. I'm not saying they don't. But the people that choose to show up every week, those are our best guys.
Don't be afraid to engage with the community. Like, if you go to the War of Rights Discord recruitment and you find a regiment that appeals to you, that you like the sound of, don't be afraid to join. So I always think that people hold out. They're hesitant to join these big battles because they think that there's a lot of pressure on them and there's a lot of things like that. Don't be afraid to join. Give it a shot. Try it. Because you won't find what you're missing if you don't give it a shot.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Especially if you don't have your bayo on. To add on to what Jerry was saying, for people that are maybe watching this video and haven't played War of Rights, nowadays it seems like I go from game to game to game to game to game, and there's just nothing good out there anymore. That drives me, that makes me want to play. This kind of community game, it brings a human element back into gaming. It's a game I can just keep coming back to. I can keep playing and I can keep having fun, and mostly it's because I'm in the regimental environment. If you haven't given the regimental environment a chance, then yeah, I definitely go for it because at that point it's more than just a game, but you still get to have fun playing the games. I know War of Rights isn't for everybody, but there's more to it than just the game.
Any final thoughts across the board?
Why would you train without your bayo on when you could always have your bayo on?
All right, gentlemen, that is a wrap. Thank you for your time. A resounding huzzah to Major Jerry, Sergeant Major Bones, and the troops of the 36th New York for their investment of time and energy for this video. The 36th New York is a regiment that flourishes in the chaos of combat. and will keep you laughing as you march through the Minier balls. Just make sure you fix bayonets, because it's not a question of if Bones finds out, but when. Within the 36, you'll find a fun-loving group whose bloodlust is almost insatiable. Their Discord will be linked down below, so hop in, say hi, and tell them Spicy sent you. That is, if you think you have what it takes to charge with the 36th. Until we meet again, my name is Spicy Llama of the 20th Georgia Volunteer Infantry Regiment. And always remember, Jesus loves you, and go to drill.